Welcome to another episode of Monetize with Marcus podcast. In today's episode, I'm going to talk about 4 ways to go from employee to entrepreneur. Now, for those of you who are still working a 9 to 5, nothing wrong with that. Don't let these folks make you get out here and quit your job. But I am going to show you some skills that you can use that can guarantee that you can make the smooth transition between an employee into an entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to teach coaches and entrepreneurs how to make more, work less, hire their funnel, and let the funnel do the work. If you're ready, join me on Monetize with Marcus podcast. So welcome back. In today's episode, I really thought it was important for me to really speak to those who really you already are an entrepreneur. I believe that entrepreneurship is not a title. It's a personality trait. It's a mindset. So I want to talk about how do you free yourself and really make the smooth transition between being an employee and moving into entrepreneurship. So please don't hear it wrong. Let me say what I am not saying, because reading comprehension is not a thing for social media. You know, we read, but we don't really comprehend. That's why you see people arguing with strangers in comments. All right. So what I'm not saying is quit a job. What I'm not saying is having a job is wrong or bad. What I'm not saying is you're less valuable because you're working. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is there are some people that are extremely gifted, extremely great at what they do, and they're ready to make that leap of faith into the thing they know that they're supposed to do. I've been there. I was working a job. I knew that there was more out of life. I'm so creative that 9 to 5 was not the structure for me. I needed to control and own more of my time so I can do more of what I'm gifted to do. That's what I'm talking about. How to make that smooth and seamless transition from employee to entrepreneur. I'm going to break it down in 4 simple steps, but please hear this. For those of you, this is a PSA on behalf of Marcus Y. Rozier. For those of you who continue to say, you're making that job rich. No, you're not making them rich. You're keeping yourself from being broke. Most of the people I hear that say that you're making that job rich or building someone's dream, you got to be honest. Do you actually do enough work at work to make somebody's rich? Like, be honest. It's normally the person that's on their phone all day, chilling, kicking it, DMing, texting, making weekend plans that say, I ain't trying to make them rich. Come on now. You're a liability to the company. Don't hear it wrong. That's not everybody. But if you know your work ethic is not 100,000 trillion, you're not making these people rich. Now, there are those of us that have worked in corporations, worked for corporate America, and we had a high-level job that we gave up weekends. We had a whole lot of work to do. I don't even care if you were doing lawn services, whatever you're doing, and you were killing it, right? But you were robbed of the ability to actually increase your income by your work ethic. So whether you work 60 hours, 70 hours, your income remained the same. You had big dreams, people you want to help. You're watching and seeing your lady, your friends. You're like, man, I wish I could do more. But you know that your work will never contribute to more income. Because don't forget this is a major point. A job can determine how much they pay you, but you decide how much you make. So let me say it again. Jobs can decide how much they're willing to pay you, but you decide how much you actually make. Now, you're like, Marcus, how do I decide how much you make? Because you're not capped at the amount they pay you. There are other things you can do to generate more income. Now, you can't make them give you more money, but you can make a decision to create something to produce more income. So a job decides how much they're willing to pay you, but you decide how much you make, right? So your income is not capped. Your ideas may be. And if you can think of better ideas, new solutions, you can drastically increase your income. So I'm going to give you this 4-step process that anybody can follow. Number 1, hire yourself. Write that down. Number 1, hire yourself. I mean, this is like a full-fledged seminar on this podcast. I mean, I'll be like, right now, somebody will be drinking water and coffee. To you, ma'am, in the back. Hey, number 1, hire yourself. Well, how do you hire yourself? Now, this that I'm teaching you now is what I actually did. This changed the game for me. I made a decision when I was still working for Florida State. I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm not quite ready to quit because, see, the way my bank account's set up, I got to check it in a savings. Okay, never mind. I didn't have enough money to quit. Let's just say it that way. So I was like, what can I do beforehand? I hired myself while working for them. I decided what are all the talents, what are all the skills that I can hire and work, and the same way I clock in for them in work hours, that I could work on me more than I work on the job. So I said, I'm at least do 2-3 hours a day. My part-time job, at least 20 hours a week, I'm going to work on me. Like, if I just did that, 20 hours a week, I'm working on me. I immediately now just employed myself to work on something that improves my skill set that eventually I can make money. So that started for me with speaking. I was like, I think I'm pretty good at this speaking thing. So 2 hours a day I would read, and I would take index cards and write words on them. And I would practice removing redundancies. You ever heard someone speak and they say, know what I'm saying, as gap fillers? If you're listening to me, you realize I don't have gap fillers in my language because for 5 years I worked on them. I would watch news. Like, this is my part-time job, hiring my gift. I would watch the news, I would mute it and pretend they were interviewing me to get used to organizing my train of thought to be able to deliver answers without them knowing that I'm processing it. So someone asked me a question, and if I'm on an interview, radio, TV, and they say, so Marcus, tell us, what do you think someone can do to go from employee to entrepreneur? Well, really 3 things someone can do. I don't know those 3 things yet, but by numbering them, I'm organizing my train of thought. I hired myself enough to learn how to on the spot produce content because I felt like eventually my life would move at a pace and success would happen, and I wouldn't have time to prepare for the level of opportunities I wanted. See, that's what hiring yourself is about. I knew I had a vision for a big company. I had a vision to have employees. I had a vision to be able to speak all over the world. So when you're talking about in the last 2 weeks alone, right now I've spoken about 7 or 8 times. One was a 2.5-hour virtual seminar. I didn't have time to prepare because the night before I was speaking as well. So now when I say time to prepare, all you do is reach inside all those years of hiring myself. That part-time job of working on me still pays residual income for me to be ready to do what I do now. So you're going to hire yourself. Now, after you hire yourself, number 2, you're going to fire your boss. Now, how do you fire your boss? You want to make enough money from your side hustle, from your idea, that going to work literally costs you money, that you lose money by being there because you could make more if you were not. See, what I did was I was already making enough side money that I realized that these 8-9 hours is costing me money, costing me creativity, content, and clients. I can't get on the phone with this person because I got work. I'm having to schedule around the job. That's when it's time to fire your boss, because now the income is there, the structure is there. But why do you want to make sure that you're doing it while there? Well, you got something to fall back on. If you have a bad week when you still have your job, you're like, well, shoot, I get paid in 2 weeks. You can rebound from some investments. I'm gonna tell you one big thing I did. I remember working for a pharmaceutical company in more of a marketing consulting role. I was working. It took a lot of work out of me, a lot of travel, but I still had my company at this point built. So I'm gonna tell you what I did. I took half of the money I made for consulting and paid employees to do what I would have done if I was at home working. So now I'm still making, if I take half, let's say I'm making $5,000, I pay $2,500 in salaries, I still make $2,500 from my business. Excuse me, I still make $2,500 from this, and my business is still making money. So I doubled it, and I didn't stop the progress of my business. So if I needed a way to get speaking engagements, I paid a person all day long to find me speaking engagements while I'm out making more money. But I paid for them using their money. See what I'm saying? So that's what you do. That's what you do. You fire your boss. Third thing, I hope y'all are getting this. If you are an employee trying to make this seamless transition to entrepreneur, we said first hire yourself. Handful of skills, talents, abilities, time management. Like, you want to work this stuff out before. Fire your boss when you make enough on the side that it costs you money to go to work. The third thing now that you're going to do is you're going to hire your systems, because you can't grow a company if you don't have a system that reproduces the same result. See, what a job gave you was predictable income. What a system gives you is predictable income. So what you do is build a system so now you can get the same result you were getting and the same security you got from a job, but you get that from your company when you have systems in place. Oh, pregnant pause. Did you catch that? When people, I need a consistent salary. A consistent salary is connected to a consistent system. So the same thing you got from your paycheck at work, you can get from your business if you have a consistent and clear system. And the fourth thing, hire your staff. You don't hire staff until you've first hired yourself, until you've second fired your boss, until you've third hire systems, and you invite your staff into your system to manage it. And when you can successfully do it, You can literally fire yourself from the company, but still generate income from it. And you manage the system, and you don't have to manage the employees. This is how a CEO can hire a CEO, because you're now just managing the system and they're reporting back to you on the result of what you've already built. This is how you seamlessly transition from an employee to an entrepreneur. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Monetize with Marcus, and I hope it was extremely valuable. Do me a favor, whenever you put in your 2 weeks notice, at the bottom of it, sign it sincerely, Marcus told me to quit. Now, I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you grab value out of this.